Hi, I'm Dave Cuthbertson from AssetGen. I'm going to take you through how AssetGen can help you document and manage your cabling infrastructure. In any cabling infrastructure we have backbone cabling between patch panels, typically the vertical or backbone wiring. We also have our core network and shared resources, which could be in this case network switches, but the same will apply to SAN controllers, PBXs, power strips and other shared infrastructure. We have our end user devices such as servers, but also some resources that they may themselves use, such as storage and KVMs, and we will trace within the AssetGen system the connectivity between all of these different components and then produce various types of outputs. Typically when we're looking at connectivity, we need to understand the local connections within and between racks, the end-to-end paths so we can get people to build and put in equipment and connect it up, but also decommission it, not leaving anything patched in that shouldn't be there. We should be able to handle multiple technologies, and so AssetGen will handle all the types of connectivity that you'll typically find, so that a server, all its connections for both KVMs, LANs, SANs, video, whatever, can all be documented within the same system. AssetGen will produce Visio diagrams of the network connectivity, of the cabling, architectures, rack diagrams, floor plans to help you locate and find, as well as understand the connectivity. And because we have a complete inventory and connectivity record of every component, we can give you capacity reports of all end devices, including things such as switches, SAN controllers, but also we can tell you how many servers, for instance, only have one network connection. Here is the user interface for the AssetGen client system into our multi-user environment. And if I click on a particular port on this server here, this Ethernet port, by clicking on the port trace tab, I can do a single port trace so I can see the whole path from that server all the way through to the switch with the labels on the cables, as you can see there, and the particular patch panels they go to. If we click on any device, this port trace shows the logical endpoints for this server, showing that it has a number of sandboxes, network switches and power strips that it's connected to, and all of the items in this grid here are all hyperlinked. So if I click on this switch number 5, on the left hand window you see we've now got switch number 5, and because we're at device level we can do a complete port trace of everything connected to that switch. So this switch has a number of Unix systems, blade servers and other things on that. This is the second type of connectivity, logical endpoints. The third type of connectivity gives a combination of both path and endpoints, and here we have what we call a full report in AssetGen, which is a complete breakdown of all the connectivity for a device. So this can be used for commissioning, it can be used for building, it can be used for verification, and also for decommissioning to ensure that if we decommission devices we don't leave any connections in at the far ends or in any distribution areas by mistake. If we look a little bit further, we can see on ports 19 and 22 the color status indicates that they are either not connected. Red indicates a faulty port because that will happen within the environment for various reasons. Blue indicates an undocumented port, so that when we do audits of environments we know what we haven't been able to trace, and then we can run statistics on that so that we can ensure we know if there are any risks that are currently unknown within our environment. AssetGen provides a number of different types of diagram options. Cabinets will draw floor plans and rack diagrams. The equipment option allows us to do architecture maps, and the network diagrams, which I'll show you in a second, will also allow us to produce network and connectivity and topology diagrams of our infrastructure. Here we have a typical network diagram produced by the AssetGen system. This is showing backbone connectivity and firewalls. When we produce the Visio diagram we also embed a lot of the attribute data for devices. So if I click on this firewall for instance here, and we then look at its shape data, we can see all the configuration data, asset details, whatever is recorded within the AssetGen system. If we click on the port we can see all the port numbers, and then we can use the data graphics facility within Visio to display these all consistently. Saves a lot of typing. The key thing is the database will update these diagrams for you automatically. Other types of diagrams we can produce for you include architecture maps, where we're showing the functional elements of the network so it's easy to understand, and this could be used also to help backup monitoring systems. cabling diagrams that show the backbone connectivity between the various patch panels. And a key thing with the Visio shapes, not only do we embed the data there, we also embed the links into our web-based application within AssetGen. So for instance, if I want to understand more about this patch panel and how many spare connections there are, this hyperlink is automatically inserted called equipment details, and if I click this then shows that patch panel which is sitting in the external comms cabinet and how many of the fiber connections are in use and where the connections go. And also through the web application, if we click on any port, like here port number 4, we can trace its connectivity, and so the port number 4 goes to a core switch on card 9, port G1015. So whether you use the client application or the web application, you have a choice, but all the Visio diagrams are hyperlinked. Here for instance we can also put in managed objects such as floor boxes and place them on user areas, so we can also document all the end connection points and trace this in exactly the same way that we do patch panel connections within data centers. So this will also do all office areas as well. I'll show you now how we draw a network diagram using the cabling connectivity. If I wish to do a network diagram that starts in this computer room in Birmingham and finishes in the computer room, this will then limit the scope because we can draw diagrams between sites. The choice is yours. If we choose the components we wish to have on the diagram, so for in this case I'll have core switches, edge switches and routers, this will then do an inventory of all devices and work out the connectivity between them. I'll give this a name, call this LAN diagram, and then I hit the draw button. This is the raw output that we provide initially, so you can then lay this out, move the devices around so you can then more easily understand and represent how the network comes together. So we can see there, and we can see where the routers connect in. If we need more detail, there are hyperlinks of course that take us into the web application. The network diagrams can then be saved, and then when we come to update this diagram, we can then have AssetGen update these automatically for you on a scheduled basis. So if you have 50 sites, we could update the network diagrams every night for every 50 sites using the cabling and connectivity information in AssetGen. But we will also generate other types of diagrams. So here for instance, here's a rack diagram that's been generated from AssetGen, so we can see at the bottom here the patch panel which is being used as part of the connections, and we can see the various servers and their locations. We can also choose to mix technologies and show servers connected to networks or storage. The choice is really up to you. AssetGen provides you lots of capability. AssetGen also has various standard reports to provide outputs in both Excel and Crystal reports forms of port capacity and usage across any technologies, so you can regularly report on the amount of connectivity that's spare and you can reallocate resources. It will also generate Visio diagrams of both physical, backbone cabling, network diagrams. You've seen some of the options there. As it will also generate different types of Excel spreadsheets, which includes both inventory lists and multi-device connectivity impacts. So if we were to reboot 5 switches as part of a network transformation, then we can tell you what's connected to them in one go and also what their services do in conjunction with our SysMap software. You could also use any of these outputs and refresh them automatically into an infrastructure portal, which is covered under another video. The benefits of using AssetGen to document and manage your cabling cover many areas. The first is that it reduces the cost and time of making changes in the infrastructure, as you don't need to do physical surveys, and it also makes it easier to generate build and decommissioning documentation. You can reduce the effort to plan and communicate so that it's very quick and easy to do handover between projects and operations, to get third parties to do build, and to also understand risks where you may have single points of failure. It also makes it very easy to work out if there are opportunities for consolidation, whereby moving some switch ports, you can then maybe free up a couple of chassis and redeploy them. So you can create all the various patching lists, Visio diagrams and switch port connectivity, and if you're an installer, it also makes it very easy to provide handover documentation from your design and build so that a customer can then manage the infrastructure afterwards. For more information on the AssetGen range and the other capabilities, please visit our website and have a look at our other videos. Thank you.